Let's catch up with Sophie Elsworth, media writer at The Australian, joining us from Melbourne as ever. Good to talk to you again, Sophie. We'll come to the election campaign there, the state election campaign and the media coverage in a moment. But I want to first show viewers a Liberal Party attack ad against Daniel Andrews. Have a look.
Remember when we hit the streets to protest against Daniel Andrews' world record lockdowns? Remember when Andrews forced us to get the jab or lose our job? Now even our own unions are admitting he's a Don't let him get away with it. Put Labor last.
Authorised by C. McQuestion, Liberal, Melbourne.
Yeah, good ad. Strong, fair points there, Sophie, except at the time the Libs weren't really running their arguments. The Libs weren't saying get out and protest in the street, and the Libs weren't campaigning strongly enough, at least, against vaccine mandates.
Well, Chris, that's right. They were not really campaigning against Labor during the lockdowns, the 6 that we had down here in Victoria. And I think that a lot of people do remember that there wasn't really, and still isn't really, a massive point of difference between the Labor government and what the opposition is proposing with a lot of their policies. So it will be interesting to see how these political attack ads really impact people and whether they do lure those swinging voters over to one side or the other. Yeah,
there's no doubt they're right now, but I just still think the coalition should have been much stronger during all of that. I know it's politically tough, but you've just got to argue what is the right case every time. You can't compromise on that. Now, let's go to some of the media coverage. I think this story is fascinating. Have a look here at the Herald Sun front page, showing the steps that apparently Daniel Andrews fell down during that terrible injury during the lockdown period. Now, I think this is fascinating, Sophie. I wanted to know this because we've all heard the speculation about that. There's always been sort of talk and never great clarity about what happened. And it was always made to sound like a serious flight of stairs, presumably inside. But is that really where he hurt himself? And if so, why don't we hear more about an explanation as to what actually happened?
Well, this is a big story, despite a lot of the media down here trying to not cover it. You'll notice last night on news reports on the TV outlets, they didn't even follow up on this story. But you must remember the Premier was off work for 111 days, Chris. There was a lot of interest in what actually happened. I mean, he's the Premier of the state. He had this very serious fall and people were very curious about what unfolded. Now, there were a lot of conspiracy theories around what happened, but when this story came out on Sunday, there was a real pile-on the Herald Sun as to whether or not they should have reported this. A lot of criticism of them, but I would argue there is a lot of public interest in this. It is the Premier of the state and people do want to know what actually unfolded. Well,
yeah, there's an undercurrent here that somehow something's been misleading. And when you see those little steps, you think, well, you can't fathom how someone could actually hurt themselves seriously on those steps. But Daniel Andrews, he wants to brush it off. Have a listen.
Well, I don't know. What, you're going to interview the stairs next? Like, people can go as low as they want. I'm not coming there with them. Right? Simple as that. People can go as low as they want. I am not coming there with them.
Well, two things. One is stairs don't talk, right? You know, I don't think he quite understands that the stairs can't. And low, people want to go low. The point is the stairs are so low. How can you fall down stairs like that?
Well, look, what I found really interesting, Chris, at their press conference, Daniel Andrews, you've got to give it to him. He shut that questioning down about the stairs immediately, and this is what he's a master at. He can shut down a line of questioning. The journalists do not go in and ask. People want to know what did happen at the holiday house or rental he was at. But he shut this down in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, extraordinary stuff. Keep on it. Thanks for joining us, Sophie. Sophie Elsworth there. You can read her stuff in the Oz.